feedback are you getting from some of the buyers that you're dealing with right now?
Well, most of the buyers I'm working with right now, we're trying to wait it out until July 13th when the announcement on the interest rates goes up. And but they're looking to buy sometime this year. They just want to know when is the right time.
But what is it about waiting till July the 13th? What are they waiting for?
Well, they're really just waiting to hear from what the government has to say about it.
But okay, but Norman, we've talked and we've already said that the likelihood is going to be probably three-quarter point interest rate hike. So what are they hoping that it's going to be less?
To be honest with you, I don't know. They're really trying to time the market, and so they're always asking me when's the right time, and I'm telling them now's the right time. You're not looking at it short term. You just want to get a house, right? You want to live in it.
I think like what you just said, like it's a very good answer, because I think everybody right now, especially when the media is talking about recession now. So now not only are we dealing with you're not only dealing with buyers, and now I have to think about, holy crap, interest rates are going up. Now there's talks of recession and all these other things. So I think a lot of people are going to try to time the market, which you can't, right? I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but like back in 2008, I bought my first place. Okay? So I bought in May of 2008. Renovated the house, moved in June of 2008. Do you know what happened in 2008?
We had a recession.
We had the market, it was the financial crisis, right? Which was October of 2008. I remember when I heard that news, literally, well, not literally, but I was shitting my pants. I was like, what the hell did I just do? I just literally just invested all this money, bought a place, and I'm like, now there's a financial crisis, right? But it took me about an hour to calm down, and then I realized, oh, wait a second, I'm not going anywhere, right? I can afford the payments, and then like that kind of really it grounded me to really feel comfortable in the decision I had made, because like we've always been telling people, as long as you have time, you're not doing this in the short term, you're doing this in the long term. Yeah. Now that recession per se lasted about 6 months, and then I ended up selling about a year and a half later, and reap the benefits of that. And I think what you just said is you need to sit down. What I would advise, so you sit down with a lot of these buyers, because you need to educate them on what's really going on, right? Because remember, they're going to come to you and be like, Ossy, like, I really want to get real estate at the lowest. Or, hey man, I don't want to, interest rates are high. I just don't want to put myself in a shithole kind of thing. So you're going to say, look, I understand that. But what I would do is really get to what is it about, what are they really scared of? What is really the fear? What about investors? You get anything from investors that are asking you great questions? Or is it just mainly buyers that are end users?
Mainly the end users.
Mainly just the
end users. So they're concerned about, basically, they're concerned about just getting it at the right price so that they can still afford the same quality of life that they have.
I mean, even what I would do, what I would even touch on is say, look, from December from December to February of 2022, prices went up, let's say 15%. Since then, they've come down just as much. So we all know we can't time travel yet, but in essence, we have, because we've gone back to pricing of December of 2021. So in essence, we've gone back in time. So why not get into the market now where you know that market has come down 15% on the average price? Get in today, get in tomorrow, get in a month from now. But if prices were that at one point, they're going to get to that again.
Get back there, yeah.
So at least you're not buying, let's say, at the highest. You may not be buying at the lowest, but you're still buying better than what the highest was. And I think, like, even when I was reading, I think just the other day, the RBC came up with the recession thing. And it sounds pretty scary. But they even say there that this recession is going to be short-lived. Yes. Right? It's not like going to be, I don't think, personally, I'm not an economist, but I don't think we would experience something like we did in the 90s. Whereas from 1990 to 97, there was that 7-year recession. Because economies are so intertwined and globalized, I think that it will be a short-term thing. I think worst case scenario probably be 3 years. Best case scenario would be 1, which is the RBC article did mention that it looks like it's going to be a short-lived recession. So I think it's an opportunity for them to get into the market now.
So what I've been seeing with a lot of my clients is it seems like they're trying to predict the future. Do you have any insight or thoughts on how the next 1 or 2 years of real estate is going to go?
Yeah, I got a crystal ball right here, man. I'm just kidding, man. Come on. You think if I had a crystal ball, we'd all be rich. Guaranteed. Share the wealth. Can't really predict what's going to happen. I would, in the future. But what you can see is when we're looking at the numbers and you're seeing how things are unfolding, I think for the next year, I think having the patience, being educated on what it means to get into a real estate market will be crucial. I think next year, I think actually starting this fall, leading into next year, it's going to be an adjusting period. I think the market is trying to find its legs. We know where we were. I think right now with what's going on, I think a lot of people are going to, again, like you're getting a lot of buzz from buyers trying to time the market. I think when they raise interest rates next week, people are going to try to find their bearings. People may just say, you know what, let's hold off a little bit. Once the market especially when something impactful happens in the market, it takes about 4 to 6 months for people to adjust. So that'll lead us into next year, and I think next year can be a little bit of a flat line. And then I think you'll start picking up probably in the leading or beginning of 2024. I know you're getting like a lot of like people asking about predicting the market, best time. But are they the buyers that you're dealing with right now, do they see that there's a lot more inventory?
We've definitely noticed that there's a lot more inventory, a lot more options out there. But what I've been seeing is that, there's this much, we have a lot more inventory. There's more homes in the market now. We don't see the price adjustment reflect in the exact same way. So last year we saw minimal inventory, price skyrocketed. Everyone was competing for the same house. So now we're seeing more options for people to make, but the price isn't reflecting in the same way. So what I'm thinking is that buyers are starting to get more realistic now with their purchasing. Instead of making purchases on impulse, they're starting to really think about it more.
Okay, so then there's a listing price. AOC, let's put asking.
Yeah, or asking 20K over asking just so they can secure it, just so their offer's that more competitive. They're starting to think about it more critically now. So we started to see houses staying on the market a little bit longer. Around 25 days, 30 days, houses start to stay on the market now. And they might have an offer or two within that time, but buyers are starting to take their time, trying to take a step back and really analyze the situation, because they don't want to be in a situation where they acquire this house and then further down the line they have to start making the
right. I think too though, if the expectation of these sellers is still high and they buy high, now if I'm a buyer, I got to worry about appraisals now. And now there's another thing another can of worms that we now need to.
Exactly, and that's many buyers went into that situation. People who bought early in the year, around the January, February time, when the house prices were really up there, they're starting to sweat a little bit. Now, come closing time, when the appraisal comes in and it's a little bit lower than what they expected, now they're trying to see how they're going to come up with that extra cash.
Do you remember we were sitting in February, and remember we were talking about some of the buyers we were working with, and then I was on the phone with a buyer, and I said to them, hey, listen, you know what? We're starting to see the market change. This is in February. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's just wait. And then they rebutted. Obviously, you couldn't hear the conversation, but they gave me an answer. And they really wanted to jump in the market because they didn't want to miss out. Mm-hmm. And then I said, guys, just wait. If I'm wrong, then I'll take care of whatever I need to take care of to make sure that you're not. And then you looked at me like, what the hell we only eat when people buy. And you're telling them to wait? Now, doesn't that look like that? Don't we look like, wow, these guys aren't just chasing the buck. They're really trying to help out our the clientele and the public. So what kind of perception are you getting from buyers in timing the market?
Well, the buyers that I've been working with, they hear some success stories of someone getting, let's say there's a property listed 1.1 million, and they end up getting the property for 980,000, and they're just like, I want to do that, and that's the number I want to pay for my house. So their expectations are kind of getting a little distorted. So they're looking at that specific case and trying to generalize it to all of real estate, rather than looking at the average or the reality of the situation, right? Whereas sure, that house may not have been worth 1.1 million, but it also was not worth 980,000. That person just got a lucky break, for lack of a better explanation. So we need the buyers to stop looking at these individual cases and start looking at it as a whole, which is where we come in with our advice and our analysis on the market. But that's the biggest thing that I want to that I need buyers to understand. Every seller's motivation is different. That specific case could be a totally unique situation. It's not always going to happen. So buyers really need to understand that and look at the reality of the situation and look at the average numbers that homes are selling for. And that's where our job comes in. Our job is to make sure that you're looking at the real numbers, not the specific unique numbers, so that you get an idea of the market as a whole, rather than just focusing on what Ted got his house for, or what Ted got how Ted got that steal on that detached property.
And I think in doing so, that's why normally we also touch on why market analysis or CMAs, comparative market analysis on what properties are selling or should be selling for are important. Evaluating that and sitting down with the buyer to really, we can all read the headlines, but when we really look at it, is it really a headline? Because it might have just sold for what its market value is. So I'm glad, I'm glad I'm hearing this from you, and I'm glad that you're taking that approach and educating clients, because I think they don't get enough of that. Well, I'm glad we had an opportunity to really chat about this, because this is important because of the market, and also kind of help buyers quiet that chatter that's going on with the media. So I think it's important that we set appointments, call buyers, call people that are probably on the fence to contact us, contact you, make sure that they're getting the right advice, sitting down for that one-on-one conversation so that we can give them what is the most valuable thing we can give them, which is our time and advice. So I really think that, really get out there and really get on that phone and make sure that people are